Hello, I'm horceror. I want to find out what makes every single killer tick. There's one big glaring issue with that though. I play the Nemesis, essentially only the Nemesis. I physically cannot get thousands of hours of experience on every single character. So, I'm going to be interviewing people that do have those thousands of hours. One for every single killer. Welcome to Stars of the Fog. Alright, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Stars of the Fog. Today's killer is the second Resident Evil Chapters killer, the Mastermind ALBERT WESKER. A killer with plenty of techs, power, mobility, and a lot to learn. There are a good bit of Wesker players out there, but my guest today is one that's pretty esteemed on the Wesker herself. So, my guest today, who are you, what are you known for, and why Wesker?
Hi, I'm Slay, and I mainly play Wesker for probably 2.5 years now. And it all started with me being a survivor man, actually, and playing against a lot of Weskers since release, basically. I don't know, I never had the courage to switch to being a killer main, but ever since I started creating content myself, and there's many Weskers, once met a Wesker who hog-tagged in a match, and that kind of convinced me into maining him myself and trying to learn that, because it, I don't know, surprised me so much. It was like the first time I've ever seen it in a real match. Never seen content about it before or anything. And then I got started into it myself. And that kind of gave me a kick in the ass, basically.
So, like, you literally started playing Wesker because you got shit on, you were flabbergasted, and then that's how it began for you. That was the inciting incident.
I kind of played Wesker a few times. Like, I mained him before. That was like basically the only killer I really played before. When I got started, I played Huntress like everyone, basically, or I don't know, Michael, I think. But it was like, I always got humbled, and I never had the courage to get into playing killer. But then, I don't know, it was like the witch of me trying to learn the attacks, actually, where I realized, okay, that's like a different play style I could adapt to and learn, which makes it more interesting to actually get into playing killer, and which also got me into playing Wesker. And this, ever since, this is my main killer, basically.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty solid way to start playing Dead by Daylight. I was very much the same. You know, I started Survivor. I played a little bit of Killer here and there to do achievements, but I never really vibed with the role. But then I got to the Nemesis, and here we are now. So, like, going back to the very beginning of things, when did you begin playing Dead by Daylight? How did you start? How did you get into it? And for, like, about how long did it take before you, like, officially made the swap over from being a Survivor player to a killer player?
I don't really remember the exact time. I think it was end of 2021 roundabout when I first played Dead by Daylight, but it was like really casually. I had some like real life friends that told me to play it, and they were always like telling me to try playing Dead by Daylight with them, and I kind of got scared by the idea of it being a horror game because I'm always a really scared person. I don't know. At some point, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna try it. And then we all got into a Survivor match together, and it was kind of fun just playing with friends. And I was really scared to play Survivor at the start. And I don't know. From there on, I realized it's like a really fun game, but I didn't get into it as much. But actually, funny enough, I lost my job in 2022, I think, and that's when I got it like into it, like fully committed. I had like too much spare time, so I played a lot of Dead by Daylight.
That's pretty much exactly how Karn got into it. I think she she said something like she was playing 16 hours a day or something. And I was like, okay, gotcha. So we were into Dead by Daylight. Gotcha.
Yeah, it was pretty similar, but at the start I only play Survivor. But yeah, as I said, as I got into streaming myself, which I started in August 2023, I realized, okay, maybe I could do some challenges for myself to like also improve my gameplay. I realized maybe I should get more into playing killer, and I also like quickly realized it's like way more entertaining for people to watch killer gameplay and like learn from each other. Like my chat helped me a lot when I picked up killers for the first time, especially when I tried to do all my adepts. I had like a week long, or like many weeks of doing all the adepts and then just trying to find out what's actually interesting for me, which like turned out to be like all the mobility killers basically. Then was the time when I like realized I like to play Wesker a lot. I mean, I kind of played him before a lot as well, but not really tech fixated. And also Oni, which is also my second P100 killer, by the way.
Okay, okay. And was there a very like initial draw to Wesker, or was it just specifically like, you know, you were just trying all the killers, you were doing all the adepts, you played Wesker once and you're like, okay, that was kind of cool, and then that clicked? Or did it happen over time? Or when did you really start maining Wesker, I guess?
I think I really started maining him in summer 2023 during the anniversary, I think, kind of, or maybe before that. I don't know. I just had some friends also playing Wesker and they're like telling me how to improve. But it was all the basics, like just how to use your dashes efficiently and all that, not about any tags yet, except maybe Euro bending. And that was also already very interesting to me. So I kind of stick to him, but I actually never did his adept. But then when I did all the adepts, it was like pretty clear to me I'll stick to Wesker. And then it was all around the time when I also looked into like what hard tags means and or the tags mean and how you can learn them basically. And that's how I found out about basically the first and Arenicant's like tutorials and videos and content, which like inspired me a lot to main Wesker.
Yeah, Alran's a pretty good pal of mine. He was actually the initial guest for this episode, and then he kind of recently has been falling out of love with Wesker, so he didn't want to do it anymore. You know, I wish him the best, obviously.
Yeah, same.
But he's a good pal. He's a very talented individual, and I can't wait to see what he does next.
Same. I like, obviously he was one of my biggest inspiration with like a few others when it comes to Wesker, because his like playstyle was always like super unique from others, and his like basically point of view on the game is like different to I feel like any other content creator. So it was like nice to just watch him play Wesker, because he never really cared to win that much, but for him it was always like just finding the most obnoxious clip position or clip spot from, I don't know, some hills or I don't know, like setting up stuff that I've never seen before, and I was like always getting inspired, and was just peak entertainment really.
And with things that you enjoy the most about Wesker, with Alran's content, of course, but if you just had to pick like one thing about Wesker that you enjoy the absolute most, like, I don't know, like a tech, visual, sound, a voice line even, like what is the number one thing for you if you had to select one?
Wow, tough question, to be honest.
Of course.
Let me think about it. I mean, he kind of has the unique dash ability, like having two of them, but it's not comparable to any other, I would say. I would say it's when I first picked up tags, I got focused on wall slides more than hog tags or any other tag, because for me they felt like way easier to do and looked like way smoother, because they pretty much look like a hog tag, but they are like way easier to transfer in a game. And that was always like one of the fun tags for me, or is still one of the most fun tags to me, because you can basically apply that on any tile basically. And I also did a tutorial on that, like one of my first tutorials on that, because I felt like this is an easy tech to learn, but at the same time it looks super, super cool. So I would say wall slide.
And just while we're talking about techs, of course, with wall slides, bending, hug techs, all this stuff for Wesker, can you kind of tell me more about all these techs? Because I think the only one I know personally is a hug tech. Like, I don't know what an bend is. A wall slide is self-explanatory, of course, but can you just tell me more about Wesker techs? I would love to hear.
Sure. Yeah, Eurobend is the basic tech of Wesker turning, like you turn the camera while you dash, which makes you basically grab or throw survivors into an object instead of like just straight forward into nothing, which is like basically one of the most useful tags to do, because like after a while it's more of a automatic thing you learn to do. And it's like very useful on maps like Cold Wind, where you're not throwing people just into nothing. You grab people into walls instead of just throwing them, basically. I think that's one of the most useful things and basic things you have to learn when you play Wesker. When it comes to hogtags, it's like at this point right now, there's like so many variations of it. The basic of it is basically you use the first dash to hogtag and the second one to dash at the survivor, like catch them off guard by going around an object. I think that's actually, even though it sounds weird because it's, like in the Wesker community itself is uncommon. The most useful one, maybe, because you can just do it very quickly. For a second, use your second dash to hard tech again, or depends on how you do it. It's like people will most likely leave loops when you set up for it, basically. So I would say first mount hard tech is the easiest and most useful one you can do. One of the basic tags also is a rebound. It's when you basically dash into the wall and use the momentum of the bound to catch people off guard, block pallets instead of like giving drops for free. I think that's also one of the tags that pretty much got found from the release of Wesker already. And nowadays you have like different variation of hard tags, like insta hard tags, which are pretty much the probably most useless tags when it comes to like actually using them in a chase, because you have to go like leave a loop or step away from the loop to set up for it. And yeah, if there's a player that's like not aware of what's happening, okay, maybe they will stay, but this is like so rare. And I think that's also why many people like stop playing Wesker, because it got like so specific with all the setups you could do, like it's a hard tag, and they're like so specific and hard to do, but at the same time so useless. It's like getting a bit too crazy, basically.
100% just getting to okay, I styled on him, but it didn't help me at all.
Yeah. So when you're trying to set up for a club like that, what I used to do is like bring a map offering, which you can't do anymore, and then like try to zone a person to this specific spot to just get that one clip. And sometimes it takes you like 20 or 30 map offerings to get that, because sometimes people just preed up the palette instantly and you have no chance to get this clip anymore. Or I don't know, like it's actually crazy what commitment some people have on those. And
I mean, I can't deny that is commitment.
yeah.
I mean, as it came up so beautifully and naturally with maps, what is your favorite map for Wesker and your least favorite map for him? And just like in general, are those the same as your personal least and most favorite maps?
They probably are, yeah. Because it's just because I played Wesker so much. I played him like probably, if I have to guess, over 2,000 hours on like only Wesker.
Sheesh.
I think which map I dropped the most, just because it was like the easiest to learn text on, was the game. And I think no matter what time or what like mental state I have, if I feel good or not good to play this game out, I hit at least one clip on this map every time I play on it. It doesn't even matter because I just like know every spot on it. Yeah, it's a fun map because it doesn't have a lot of clutter around, like some trash piles you have on Azeroths or Eerie as example. I mean, I also like Azeroths, but it's like not my favorite, I would say, if it comes to hitting tags. So I would say for collision-wise, the cleanest one is the game. And I also like it to play it on both sides, to be honest. And my least favorite is probably, ever since Hawkins gone back, probably Hawkins. It's like the hallways are way too tight. You can bump into like invisible walls or like stuff sticking out you can't calculate in your like bound path as Wesker. And it's just like a horrible feeling to play it out. It's like any high mobility killer on this map is terrible, but yeah, I would say Hawkins is.
I guess that's one thing I do have over mobility killers is I love Gideon, I love Hawkins, I have no problem with any of those because of just how my power works.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're not that dependent on that. You can hit over tiles and stuff.
Or around them, or through them, or under them. You know, I have...
Yeah. Yeah, and with Wesker, it's like RPD and Hawkins are probably the same level, but if I have to decide it's Hawkins, ever since it came back, it's horrible to me.
I love all of those maps, so... While we're being haters for real, what do you dislike the most about Wesker? Collision, some bug or something, a visual, a voice line? Just like in general though, like what is the absolute worst part of your character that would probably make you quit if there was one? Assuming all of the good parts weren't there.
There's a certain bug that make me really upset a lot of times, and sometimes it happens several times in one match. And this is when you grab a survivor and you let go of them, and that's due to his collision. It basically happens because if you slam someone into an object, which Wesker, if he would dash straight into it, would slide off, the survivor would also slide off. So basically what the game thinks is you dash into it and you will slide off. So the survivor you slam into it will also not have collision into it. And this can happen multiple times, as example on Swamp, because Swamp's collision is just like slippery. You have like so many surfaces where you just don't hit survivors on. Even though it's a massive tree, it looks like you will definitely slam them into it. They will slide off. And this just happens way too often, sadly. There's not much you can do about it. Like, obviously, you learn collision over time, and I know many of those spots as example on Swamp or on other maps as well. So I can kind of avoid it by just not using my power. But it's like very frustrating when you're playing your killer for the power and trying to like use it as much as possible, because that's the fun part about it. And then you have to avoid it by not getting robbed of your hits. And this is like cost me games. Like if it's an end-game scenario and they just get away with it because they are not getting any hits by that, it's like very, very frustrating. And yeah, that's all due to map collisions actually.
And that's actually kind of funny because when I was talking to Lilith for the Blight, you know, he brought up a very specific bit of collision that's also on Swamp. So there's like a hill, and sometimes there's like a stump of a tree that spawns on the hill. And that stump has no collision for mobility killers like Blight or Wesker, and you just slide straight off it. So I know exactly what you're talking about. This has never happened before.
Yeah, this is so funny because it's very interesting now, since I'm currently trying to learn Billy or get like better on Billy, and the collision works pretty similar as well with the chainsaw sprint. So sometimes I can slide off the same spots that I know already I can slide off with Wesker as well, and that's so funny. Like I can really imagine it's the same for Blight, but I don't play as much Blight. No, it's frustrating.
And this is a perfect example of that, but as far as, so Killers in Dead by Daylight, right? They are all to some level similar, but do you think that maining Wesker has given you specific transferable gameplay skills to other killers, like such as with Billy?
It definitely did, especially flicks, which is probably one of the attacks I learned like to try be consistent on as the very last one, because of course it's kind of like mouse movement you get used to after time. I would say transfer that to like Oni as example, which I started maining after, or like as my second main after Wesker, and then now also to Billy, which you kind of can flick with as well if you like try to outplay a loop or like mind game a loop. So I think it's pretty useful. Yeah. Also, I don't know, like Pyramid Head. I mean, Nemi probably too, but I'm not that good on Nemi. Yeah.
I mean, if you go for flicks on Nemesis, I could see, yeah, maybe. I could see that.
I have some friends that are pretty cracked flick Nemis. I would call them that.
Yeah, fair enough. I just drag the whip. I don't go for flicks.
This or Dracula, I mean, the wolf form is pretty much the same as Wesker. That's just way more forgiving. Yeah, it's way more forgiving. I don't know. I tried picking up Dracula. I still didn't feel like the same way as playing Wesker, so I never like actually dropped. I know some Wesker mains dropped for Dracula when he released. So I mean, he's a very stronger killer to be honest. But it's a different. Like you don't have the same kit still and the same text. So I guess that's why I stick to it.
And with Dracula being a stronger version of Wesker, TM, how every time that I hear about Wesker, like on a tier list or something, people are always putting him in like whatever tier, right? And it never feels like it's right. How strong in general would you say that Wesker is?
I think ever since his infection got nerfed, which was a pretty big part of him being a strong killer, I would say, well, it's really tough to be honest to not be like biased, because I know of all the bugs and what shit can happen basically. And I'm not like really an efficient player. Like I'm not playing for wins as much. But if I do, I would say it's maybe low A or something, or high B tier. It's hard as well because I never do. I never actually did a tier list, so it's hard for me to like think of now. But there's like so many strong killers nowadays.
And you think maybe he might have gotten like lowered down on the list just because like better stuff came out?
Yeah, definitely. And the nerf of infection. The only good thing that happened to him was last year, end of last year, when he got the very, very slight recovery on his power, basically.
Didn't they call that a major update too? And then it's just like he got part of Glove's base kit.
Yeah, and the funniest part is that when they announced it and they didn't even mention what they're gonna change, everyone thought they're gonna remove his text. And then he got a buff that no one expected.
A little bit out of nowhere.
Yeah. Or I would say, as a Wesker community, we always ask for base kit gloves, so it was a good change, but it was still not enough. Like, I would say the best thing they could do is like rework his collision or his power, but at the same time, I would say it would ruin him or like completely change him. I think that's the main reason why they never actually touch him.
Yeah, because he has a very dedicated fan base, but you don't just want to like blow that up overnight. It's like, hey guys, this is gone now. Like with other killers, the trickster.
I mean, light arctic removal is also a major thing, which they also changed from one day to another, kinda, when they done it.
I'm gonna be honest, I think that one is more necessary than taking Weskers.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Because Blight could use that shit at every single loop.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I agree. I still think it's kind of sad, but
Oh, for sure.
because I think it's just skill expression.
Yeah.
Kind of getting removed step by step, and looking at Oni as well. But at the same time, I heavily agree. I like Blight as S tier killer, and the Hogtex made it even crazier to go against him. If it's a good one.
And with the fan base around Wesker, you know, him being a very popular killer to play as and against, and just in generally feeling fair, how often do you really run into, like, I don't know, fans of Wesker, or people that really, really, really hate Wesker? And just in general, what do you feel like the community's consensus on Wesker is as a whole? How's the general interaction with the public go?
There's a lot of hate against Wesker. Like, I don't meet a lot of, like, Wesker fans that are worse in game, since I also play for clips, which means I'm not playing efficiently or going for like 4 kills every match. I get a lot of hate for the playstyle. Basically, they're like calling me noob and stuff. I think that's so silly, because if you get me like playing for the win, it will also not be fun for you, and you will also like not be happy about it. So what do you actually want from me? I'm not like trying to be friendly and set up a clip, but like I'm not staging my clip in a match, but I'm just like playing chill and not really caring about gens sometimes. And people get really upset about that. And that's kind of confusing to me, because it really doesn't make sense. And I can't really understand it as well. But it's maybe because it kind of grew with me as a learning killer in general, and then like going for clips on Wesker, which kind of got like normalized for myself. So I don't understand how people would be upset about that. But yeah, I sometimes feel like I can make it right for people however I play Wesker in matches, in public matches.
It's always going to be like, okay, so what is fun for this person? Then you have to ask that for 4 people. It's like, at some point, it's not your problem, you know? Like, obviously, you can let someone go if you want, like, spur of the moment, but it's never going to be like a one-size-fits-all, because, you know, people are different. People have different definitions of fun.
Yeah, that's how I feel, yeah.
I'm sure there's people out there that would love to just farm every game. And I think it's so boring, so I just don't do it. And that's fine. They enjoy what they enjoy.
I mean, I don't meet a lot of people that want to farm, but...
Yeah, I don't really anymore either. But it's just an example.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's kind of sad. Like, I would love to be, like, have more sportsmen, like enemies again, basically, in the enemy team. Because I feel like, I don't know, whenever I was a killer as a survivor player, as a survivor role, basically, I don't hate on them for whatever they do. Like, if they get one hook stage or they kill everyone, I can still say GG's. Like, I don't know why I feel like it's like, maybe it's also EU service. It's like kind of the image of EU service being really sweaty and not really having a good time anymore. I don't know if it's that coming into play as well.
Yeah, it can. I mean, obviously, every time I talk about different servers, I have to say, like, okay, well, I haven't played on this server, so I don't know how it is. I haven't played on this server, so I don't know how it is. And I just don't know how it is most of the time, because, like, I'm not going to fly to Europe to play Dead by Daylight, you know? Like, that's not really what I would go there for.
I do not recommend either way.
And when you play against your main, the Mastermind, Wesker, do you find yourself enjoying those games more often than other killers? And why or why not?
I enjoy it a lot. That's basically how I mained it as well, like how I started to main Wesker because I versed a lot of them ever since release, and I was like always hyped to find a way to juke or I don't know, do silly stuff. But I also find myself sometimes in getting outplayed by just thinking they will play the same way I do and running into them and stuff like that and panic. So it's kind of funny sometimes realizing that it's not gonna happen. They are not setting up for a Arctic or anything, or they're gonna M1 me, even though I would never M1 in that certain situation. So that's like funny to like learn about myself sometimes when I am in chase. But I still enjoy it a lot, and I think it's like really cool to see people and maybe verse them again and again and see how they also improve. It's like really nice to see.
And are there any specific frustrations that survivors might have when playing against Wesker?
Frustrations?
Like anything they would really dislike? Like if they saw a Wesker and they were like groaning because something's going to happen.
I think Wesker still has the image of tunneling a lot.
Fair enough.
Mainly because of the infection, but I think it's not as efficient. I see a lot of people still complaining about the infection since you kind of have this side quest to get the spray and to disinfect, but I don't think that's actually a valid argument to say you have a reason to complain. It's not really effective. You could basically wait it all the time, spray when you're fully infected, you will find anyways, probably.
Yeah, it's not a terribly game-changing infection unless it's fully procced, because, like, Nemesis is a 3rd health state. Plague removes one of your 2 health states, and then, like, Wesker's like, well, I guess you can get insta-downed if you wait, like, 60 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's not, like, as effective, I guess.
It's like... That's the craziest part about the infection nerf, it being set down to 1% anytime you get unhooked. Like, even though you were fully infected before, I think before it was like 50% anytime you get unhooked.
It was half, yeah.
And now it's 1%. I don't know. It makes no sense in my mind. I don't know. I guess it's just really the tunnel potential they wanted to lower with it.
That's a great segue, actually. And with tunneling, how do you feel about win streaks on your killer? And do you feel like comparatively with other killers, Wesker is easy to win streak on? And do you personally enjoy win streaking? And if so, why?
I never really did a win streak except one time when I tried to do a perkless one, since I saw I got interested into them just because of like a lot of content creators doing them, and I was like seeing people doing win streaks on their main. I was like, looking into it basically, and the highest like in general win streak on Wesker is like 600 plus, which is like probably unbeatable because it was like pre-infection nerf. But I was looking into the like perkless win streak, which was like, I don't know, 15 to that time I tried doing it. And the thing about me with win streaks is I can have a competitive mindset, but the frustration and like my expectation of how I should perform in that match is like really high. And yeah, the frustration tolerance, or however you want to call it, is like really high as well at that time, especially if you play perkless. And to that time, it was also still with like having map offerings being a thing all the time as well. It was not easy for me.
I'm so glad map offerings aren't really a thing anymore.
For real. It was the most upsetting thing about the whole streak attempt, because it was like getting sent to Eerie and RPD back to back all the time. But I still think it's a Wesker compared to any other streak killers like Blightners or even now Springtrap Kaneki. He's like so inconsistent and bugged sometimes. It's like, it feels like you can't win sometimes. As I told you, the bug that I explained earlier on Swamp, or even on Krotos Brand or any other map with slippery collisions on like rocks, trees, and anything. Like, doesn't even matter the specific map, matters the collision, the specific trees, they also spawn in other realms. And it's like really frustrating because you feel like you deserve to win this match, and then stuff like that happens and you feel like you're out of control. And that's like, I mean, obviously every killer has some kind of like small bugs with it. I know that Nurse has fatigue bugs still. I don't play her really, but I'm aware of it. And yeah, like other killer probably has some bugs in this game. I think for Wesker it's really, really major sometimes, so it actually affects the outcome of the game.
And with his bugs, are collision bugs like his biggest bug, or are there anything else like that are kind of affecting him behind the scenes? I think like the biggest game affecting bug was a 2v8 exclusive one, and it was if your partner got stunned while you were dashing to someone, you just got stuck for the rest of the game. But is there anything like bug wise aside from collision, or is collision like the big one?
Collision is top one, and the bug you just explained from 2v8 is also possible to happen in 1v4. It's very rare though. It's like when you first dash, like use your first dash into the survivor, you will get stuck in position, like you don't even grab them, and the survivor can't move either. They can turn their camera and like look around, but you are not able to move for the rest of the match, and which mostly happens at the start of the match. I've seen like many Weskers that shared clips about this on Twitter when it first started to happen. And I just recently saw someone, this happened again. So it's still a thing, but I don't know what it causes and I don't know why it just happens so rarely. And I had the same thing happen to me yesterday when I tried to grab someone in the exit gates. I basically grabbed them at the same time when they escaped. I don't know what happened, but I just froze in place as well. So I had to wait out until everyone left around me. I couldn't do anything.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and when stuff like this happens, it's like, okay, it wouldn't secure my win, obviously, but it's like, what if that was the one securing thing? It's just super frustrating.
And it isn't specifically a bug related thing, but with all the survivors just leaving through the gate after you get bugged there, is there any perk for survivor that does directly counter Wesker, or just in general advice you would give if someone was looking to play against a Wesker and do better because they really struggle with it? Like what would you suggest and what would you tell them?
I don't really want to say that. No, but
we don't. Okay. How about instead of like the number one thing, I'll take like a 3 or 4 on the list of counters.
Okay, I think the best thing you can do is like pre-drop palace in loops, I guess, even though it really is annoying for me personally because I'm not a unicorn medallion player, which is like basically allowing you to outplay that better. Like, I don't know, it's not that common anymore. Like most people actually just play base kit or even Walkie, which affects the distance of your dashes. But unicorn is like the comp add-on basically, which is like very common to outplay pre-drop pallets. But yeah, in the public matches, this is like the number one thing you can do. And most of the time it really works if you just have a slide check spot. You don't even have to have it perfectly, because even if Wesker, as example, cannot dash but waits out the power, you can still make it around the loop or make it away. And yeah, I think that's just general. Like, you are not staying at loops if you have no vision. You just run away. Yeah, I think Weskers are also known for like mind gaming a lot, so that's like the best you can do probably.
Let them mind game themselves.
Yeah, I feel like that's the number one killer on the mind game themselves list.
And on the other side of things, what advice would you give for people that are trying to play Wesker for the first time? Like, brand new Wesker enjoyer. He just came to Dead by Daylight. He wants to be Wesker. What advice are you giving this guy?
I would say be considerate about when to use your dashes, and don't vote and pallets and windows. It's useless. Even though it looks cool that you can do it, it's like not helping you. So be like aware when to use your power. Like, try to make it so you are really close to the survivor, and look around if you see a pallet so you're not getting stunned instantly. Like, be like more aware of when to use your power correctly. And zoning, I think, is the number 2, because if you zone someone correctly, even throw people into the like corners of maps and stuff like that, I think that's the best you can learn from the start.
I do hate getting thrown into corners, even if I get injured with the speed boost. It's like, well, I get to go through Wesker, and he's going to hit me again. So I guess I'm just here now.
Yes, it's very annoying, but it's the most useful thing you can learn if you are playing Wesker for like actual win.
Yeah, I can't lie. He's pretty good at putting me in the corner. So what are like some common misconceptions about him? Like stuff that I don't have any on hand. I feel like I'm pretty knowledgeable in general, but what is like something that you hear about Wesker and you're just like, okay, well that's wrong. And what do you wish people understood about him? Like, say there's one thing that you wish you could like clear up about Wesker, what would it be?
His tech doesn't make him stronger. they don't, like, especially hard techs, they are useless against any good player or any player with a brain. You don't even have to be a comp player or a player with like over 2k hours or something like that. You just leave. You don't stay at the loop. But that's it. That's the counter. Or even dodge. Like, you can just lightly dodge and you will not get hit. And people like...
No, it's OP because he looks cooler than you.
I really hate the fact that people say it makes him stronger. It makes me angry even because, like, as I said, I play him for like 2k hours, and at least half of those like hours I spent in either customs or in real matches trying to hard take people, like, just all the time, just grinding for glips. And then it's like, it's so easy counterable. Like, you cannot tell me that's a way how you win games better or like you play better. It's just a misconception, which is making me really mad.
And we did briefly touch on this earlier with changes and Wesker in general, but how have updates treated Wesker? And would you say that any buffs or nerfs he've gotten have been fair to his player base as well as the survivor player base who has to play against him?
To be honest, the infection nerf he got, I don't even know how long ago it is. I think 1.5 years ago. That was pretty much needed. Because on the receiving end, as a survivor, it just felt awful to be slowed down. I think it was 8%. I'm actually not too sure.
It was like almost 10%. I do remember that. It's just like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, in 30 seconds, I'm getting 9% hindered because he's tunneling me. Well, yeah. This sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no one was enjoying that. And to be honest, it was like securing the win easily, probably, but it was just not a fun experience. So I think that was a really necessary change about him, to be like a fun match again. Like, as we talked before, like starting with 1% after getting unhooked, like 1% of infection is, I still think, is not a lot, but it's really hard to see what else you could do to make it like better from both sides. I would say it's okay the way it is. It's not perfect. It doesn't really make Wesker's kit stronger, but it's okay the way it is. It's like a small side task everyone has to do, like collect the spray and spray. It takes not a long time. It takes like 8 seconds or something. So it's okay the way it is, you know.
And it has 2 usages per spray.
Yeah, that's true.
While a Nemesis vaccine is 1 and done.
I mean, it always spawns 2 in 1. That's why.
Well, like, I think it's very infrequent to run out of sprays for Wesker, while Nemesis is like every single game 4 vaccines are used, unless I like 4k5.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, if you don't have a specific build for people running out of sprays, like trying to use your power as much as possible, you will never see that happen. It rarely happens ever in my matches if I'm not trying as hard as possible.
And those are the changes to Wesker himself. But how about changes to the game around Wesker? I'm sure you are aware, not every game is Wesker. Not every perk belongs to him, and not everything that happens is Wesker related necessarily. So, like, how have perks being added, perks being changed, maps being changed, or just like reworks in general, like, how is everything around the Mastermind treated Wesker? Do you think he's like kept up with the times, or do you think he's kind of like fallen down a little bit now that so many things have changed since his release in 2022 that I knew off the top of my head?
I would say he cannot really keep up that well with all the other changes, and especially boss survivor gets, especially the base kit stuff. It's kind of scaring me sometimes. I would say since he's not really getting changes a lot, like as we talk about, the only change he got was the gloss base kit, which is okay, but it's like not helping you keep up with, as I told you before, the Hawkins getting back into DVD at the start. When they brought the map back, he couldn't even use his power on half of the map. Like, there were like invisible walls everywhere, and through the doorways you could not even use your power at all because you got stopped. And like, as example, the new map as well, you have like tight hallways in the main building where you can barely dash through and all that. So all you gotta do is walk through, like all the corners, all the chairs spawning in there, everything blocks you. So you were like, Wesker's power basically is super sensitive, and you will always be affected by stuff like that. And that's like really annoying. And I don't know, the game is not really forgiving for his power. And it's sad, to be honest, because I always try to make Wesker look as efficient as possible by using his power as much as possible, but it's like sometimes feels impossible. I would say, as we talked before about it before, I mean, it's kind of like a common thing now to run as many anti-tunnel perks as possible. And I don't think that Wesker can keep up with that super well because his power recovery is still too low to catch up on a DS survivor, or I don't know, like I feel like it's not the potential to keep up with and stuff like that. It's like really bad sometimes.
So he could use a little bit of help.
Yeah.
And with that, I'll just bring it up specifically. So you played a lot of him. I would say you have a pretty good grasp on what Wesker is, what he stands for, his power, etc. So if you, Slay Queen, were given full like control over it, what would you change about Wesker if you could? I mean, anything at all, like accessibility kit, balance, vibe, whatever. Is there anything problematic you would want to like get fixed? And would you give him a third dash?
The first thing I was about to say. Yeah, I would not make a base kit though. Give him like more variety add-ons. Basically like blight, which kind of changes his power, or I don't even know who you can compare it to be honest. Or a dash add-on that makes your dashes faster. That would be so interesting and could give you like more variety of Weskers you play against, because we have so many. Like we are so many Wesker players in the community at this point. It would give us more variety and not like every time gloves and egg, because those are the most useful add-ons as of right now, basically. What else would I change? Give him more skins, of course. Hello? You need some love too. Shirtless Wesker, we are waiting.
That's actually really funny because that was going to be my next question. How do you feel about his skin so far? You want more, clearly, and you want shirtless Wesker, clearly, but what is your favorite cosmetic right now? And like, if you had, again, full executive control, what would you have added?
See, I know already what you're gonna ask. This is the mindset of a Wesker main, you know? This is a mastermind mindset.
The masterminds? Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, I know, right? No, but I think my favorite is actually the new skin. I use it a lot. It differs from others because it's without any gloves. Like you can see his hands, and that's the first time ever in a skin of Wesker. And since that's the only thing you see all the time when you play him, basically, I think that's really nice.
It's visually distinct on your screen rather than just for survivors.
Yes.
Gotcha.
That's 100%. And most of the time I either play this or the just bloody prestige outfit because default just looks the best. So in my opinion, I also kind of wanted to find something to stand out, which is kind of hard when you think of the like selection you have.
Yeah, because all of his stuff is sets aside from like the bloody cosmetics.
Yeah, that's it. And everyone used to at least play stars all the time. Like I barely see any other skin still. And yeah, I think that's why I kind of decided to not use it as much.
So like you would really enjoy if there were cosmetics that were like less linked set type deal.
That would be so cool, yeah. I would definitely use the blighted hair and the blighted knife and then like combine it with, I don't know, the new suit or something. That would be so cool.
Okay, gotcha. And it did briefly come up, like, just while we were talking about what we would change, and I was going to get into it, but, you know, shirtless Wesker came up, so I had to jump on that. But how do you feel... How do you feel about his add-ons in general right now, like, as far as balance or being over, under-tuned go, and what are your current favorite add-ons to run, and just, like, any honorable mention for add-on stuff that you like to talk about?
To be honest, I barely use any of his add-ons except what I just mentioned. So if I go for clips, I play the Walkie add-on, which makes your first dash really short and your second one really long, which is only useful if you go for clips, and that's it. So if you do, yeah, you mostly will suffer a lot probably because you will not get a lot of like normal hits with his power or outplay any loops if you're not going for a hard tech, which is obviously not possible on any tile. So yeah, if I don't do that, I just play base kit, which means I play egg, which is probably still one of his best add-ons, funny enough. Yeah, and gloves for recovery. And if I want to be silly, I throw on chalice or the beta add-on, which is either making them grab for a longer time or throwing them early on, depends on what you use. And the rest of the add-ons is pretty much useless. I would say, okay, if you want to try hard, like really badly, you use lab photo, which makes you break pallet with his power. I would say in a setting where you want to win very badly, this is one of the strongest add-ons. I also tried using it combined with Unicorn Medallion, as I mentioned earlier. You can now play loops really well with it, and the zoning potential is really crazy. It kind of reminds me of old Blight. I think it was C44, or what was it? When you like insert break pallets.
Compound 33, yeah.
33, yeah. It's kind of the same vibe. Not as strong, possibly still not beaten, but yeah, I don't know. It's just very boring, to be honest.
Nothing interesting or game changing. Believe me, preaching to the choir, I 100% understand what it's like to have no add-on variety. So,
Yeah.
But with the other half of things that you run, what about perks? I want to ask specifically if there's a perk you think Wesker uses better than literally anyone else first, and then I just want to ask like what perks you like running and what's your favorite personal single perk.
Okay. I don't know why, but I randomly started to play Lightborn only, and it kind of got into my trademark. Like I got like into matches just playing Lightborn because I was sick of using slowdown perks, or I didn't want to sweat. So I just wanted to see, okay, what is it like to just play Lightborn? And it's kind of the joke of him wearing sunglasses anyway. So
yeah, he has sunglasses. How's he gonna get blinded?
Yeah, for real. Like it just makes sense, you know? It's not that I'm scared to get a flashlight safe. Like I throw it on no matter if I see a flashlight in the game or not. Became my image to just play that, and it's just funny. But if I'm thinking of a perk that's actually really strong, it's just brutal, to be honest. It's the best add-on for him and his power. You break the pallet and instantly catch up to survivors, and even though it's just a few seconds, it makes up a lot. I would say Bruto is the most efficient perk for him.
And boy, I put this question off for a long time just because it never really had any way to segue, but as I'm getting lower on the questions, I want to ask, you enjoy Wesker's playstyle, obviously. How do you feel about his lore? Are you a Resident Evil fan? Are you a Wesker in Resident Evil enjoyer? Or is it strictly a Dead by Daylight gameplay thing for you?
I kind of started getting into it after I started playing Wesker in Dead by Daylight. Mm-hmm. I never really played Resident Evil, kind of because of what I told you at the start of the interview, that I'm scared of horror games, and I always thought Resident Evil is really scary. It's not, I know now. I mean, sometimes it is, but it's not as bad as I thought it is.
It's a horror game, but it's not like Dead Space or something.
Yeah, I don't know. Like... I just remember when I was young that I was watching my brothers play Resident Evil on console, and I was like getting scared. So I was like, nah, I'm never gonna play this myself.
Do you remember which one?
On console?
Yeah.
Absolutely no idea. No.
Okay.
I think it was Xbox. I think it was Xbox 360. If it helps you in some way.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, anyways, I was like getting very scared by just watching them. Yeah, obviously, as I got more and more into playing Wesker on streams, more people told me to just try it out and play Resident Evil, and I got into playing like everything until now. Resident Evil 4. I also played RE5, but it's where you meet him, but you don't like really play him. So since I just played those parts, like RE2, 3, and 5 completely, and I'm still in the making of or in the end of RE4 basically. I've not met him that much, but in RE4, 5 it's very iconic. Like I think he's a really nice character to meet in the game in Resident Evil as well, and I really think it's an individual not comparable to any other character in video games. I feel like
he's a pretty big role in the first game as well.
Yeah,
and I think you can play him in the Mercenaries mode for Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, 5 it is, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. Like many people told me to try that as well, but I was like, okay, I'm just gonna finish 4 and then I'm gonna do it, and then I kind of procrastinated, and it's yeah.
Didn't finish 4 and didn't do it. My next one. It is kind of an outdated question at this point, seeing with the changes to how Going Next has gone, but up until that change, how has the whole, like, how often do you have people giving up against Wesker, I suppose? I guess less so on Hook, because you can't do that anymore. Another W change from behavior, thank you. But I remember, like, the week before they implemented it, I was getting, like, half of my games had someone giving up. So, like, how often do you have that type of thing happening?
I felt like that happened a lot to me. And funny enough, we talked about this earlier. When I had the occurrence of meeting Wesker fans in game, and I'm not trying to farm with them, even though they have like I love Wesker's feet in their name or something like that. I'm not the kind of person to farm with people, especially when I stream, because I think from a viewer point of view, it's just boring as fuck and no one wants to see that. So I'm just trying to move on with the game, and I tried to give them a second chance by just hooking them and hoping they will play the game out. But if they don't do, I just like don't care too much. And yeah, I guess this happened quite a lot as well, which is kind of sad to think about, because I like to play against you still. If you're a Wesker fan, it doesn't mean I hate you now or something like that. It's just I'm not trying to just farm for 5 gens. It's like the most boring shit ever. That's not why I queue up for 10 minutes right now. Like, as of right now, the queues are horrible.
Yeah, it is the event right now. Like, just started the 9th anniversary for Dead by Daylight, which is actually a fantastic way to get into the next and penultimate, the second to last question. We've been going for 9 years at this point, and we just had our biggest player count numbers ever less than a week ago due to Springtrap's release. That's beating Nemesis from back in like 2021. So like, it's been 4 years and we're still reaching new heights. How long do you think Dead by Daylight is going to last?
That's a tough question.
Of course.
I would say it's I don't see an end of the game, to be honest, because it's like evolving and implementing like new content all over the time. And that's like basically how the game works. I'm kind of hoping like we talked about the collision about Wesker as example of like many bugs being in the game. I was thinking about like a second version of DBD would be easier to create to like fix issues like that, because I feel like the code of the current game is like impossible to like solve stuff like that anymore, because it's like very too deep issues probably.
I've been saying the same thing, essentially. I don't know how familiar you are with Heroes of the Storm, but it's a TLDR if you're not. It's the Blizzard MOBA, so like League of Legends,
Yeah.
Dota, Heroes of the Storm MOBAs.
Yeah, I know.
And they had this humongous update that they called Heroes 2.0, and like essentially overnight, it was really badly optimized beforehand. So say Heroes of the Storm game is like 15, maybe 20 minutes at the long end. And when you disconnected, and you would disconnect because of how bad the game was at the time, it took you like 5 minutes to get back into the lobby, even if you like instantly press rejoin, because it had to reload the entire game. And like overnight, they changed that to 5 seconds. It was crazy. And then they added like back pay for all the levels you got, because it used to max at 20 and now hero levels didn't max at all. They gave you loot boxes for shit. Just like, I cannot like overstate how revolutionary this update was, and like I would love something like that for Dead by Daylight. I'm not asking for like a Dead by Daylight 2 on Steam like Smite, which is kind of bad, but just like make the game not suck TM to like run, because there's always been like bugs and, you know, Dead by Daylight stuff like stuttering, bad ping. I get put in Europe for some reason from NA West when no one's VPNing, and then the whole lobby has 200 ping. It's just like, I would really appreciate if they redid the game from the ground up type deal.
Yeah, Sam.
Sort out the spaghetti.
It's a really tough thing to do, though, I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. But like
the game is so complex at this point.
Yeah, and I feel like the longer they wait to do it, the worse it's gonna get. I do feel like eventually it's gonna blow up and they will have to do something about it. But if they like beforehand, I legitimately thought that Dead by Daylight, like the only thing that would kill DBD, it was never gonna be content, because it has like a humongous player base. This is the asymmetrical horror game. Like every other one is dead. There's not competition. Like, let's be real. But it's the horror game, and then they just keep adding stuff, like you said. And I thought the only thing that would kill the game would be the Go Next thing, like the Go Next epidemic. And
oh yeah, true.
That's basically solved now. People actually have to disconnect from the game if they want to disconnect. Wow.
Yeah, even though that's still a crazy, like the worst feeling ever as a killer player. Still, I mean, for survivors, it's good. They still have a teammate that's doing gens, like probably more efficient than the teammate beforehand. So
It still feels bad, but like it's way better than it used to be.
that's true. I agree 100%. And I'm also happy they are doing something, and they are also being very transparent about that on Twitter, in my opinion.
I feel like they've been getting way better as a community. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's something to look forward to, and I'm very looking forward to it. More changes and more improvements.
Yeah.
I think they're doing a good job.
You know, gotta give them credit where it's due. Absolutely. Now, my last question. You like hard questions. My very last question that I save for the end for a reason. What would make you quit Wesker forever? This one is especially relevant just because, you know, your inspiration for playing Wesker, Alranican, who's a friend of mine and the initial interviewee for this, did in fact quit Wesker, and he had like a whole Twitter announcement and all that. But like, what would be your last straw to quit Wesker?
I was thinking about this just also because of other people quitting and Renniken quitting and reading his statement about it. And I always said, like, out of like the discussion of them removing Arctics or like people complaining about Arctics being OP and all that, and thinking of if they would remove them, I would probably not like quit him forever, but I would barely play him anymore probably. But gotta be honest, I think I would never quit him fully no matter what happens. It's just like, I don't know, it's my kind of hyper focus in the game, and if I play him, it's like my element, and I'm just, I don't know, even though it's hate and love at the same time mostly, I don't know, it's just part of me now. I don't know, I don't have anything to like add to that, to be honest.
That's totally fair. I think my major, it's just like removal of skill expression that really gets me.
Yeah, that's the reason why I quit Oni now, basically.
Okay.
Because they made a like space hit on him. But to be honest, I have not played Oni as much as I played Wesker, so it makes like more sense to me. Was like the whole reason why I started maining him and getting into him was, first of all, when I needed a break of Wesker, it was just a good alternative killer to play as. It also gave me like better general gameplay knowledge in playing him as an M1 killer at the start of every match, so it's like general gameplay you improve on.
And that goes back into the transferable gameplay skills type thing.
Yeah, and then it's also a mobility killer, which is really fun. Kind of reminds me of now when I play Billy, sometimes with the chainsaw sprint all over the map. I kind of did the same thing with Oni, but now I am not enjoying him anymore at all. Like, they completely fucked it up, and I feel like it's not been taken seriously from any Oni like player in the community. Like, many people complained on Twitter, as an example, like many people I knew in the clip community basically going for like specifically those flicks, learning them for years, and like it's basically transferable, the exact same on Wesker. Like, if they would remove Arctics now, everyone would be super upset, but I'm not sure if I would quit him because of that. It's because of like, I think I have to like feel how it is in that situation, except like I could not say like right now I would quit him then.
If they remove the whip drag, which on Nemesis, that would be like, I would become the Joker overnight. That would be it. Like, that's all he has, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
And people are like, oh no, we have to remove this. It's like, you gotta be stupid on purpose. What are you talking about? Let me do something.
And for Oni, I don't know, it's like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And for Wesker, Arctic would make less sense for me, because with Oni you could win matches by flicking 180 and getting someone in a lock, like jumping out of a locker or some stuff like that, right? But with Wesker, Arctic, if they remove that, it's like no comparison. You're not winning matches because of the Arctic, right? Like there's no unfair advantage of it, basically. So I don't know if that's the reasoning. Okay, it makes sense, but it's still bad they're removing it.
Yeah, that's kind of all I have for this series and all my questions. And I want to just, thank you for coming on. Thank you for talking to me about Hit Killer, the Mastermind, Albert Wesker. And it definitely took a little longer than 7 minutes, but jokes aside, yeah, I appreciate your coming on. It's very kind of you to give me your time today.
Thank you so much for asking me. I feel honored, honestly.
Yeah, and now just my little outro segment. I usually just give my guests time to talk about themselves. If they have any upcoming content they want to say, they want to share all their links, go for it. And the floor is yours.
No, I have no plans. No, I just stream. Yeah, I stream every day on Twitch, and you could possibly check me out. You can also follow me on Twitter. I almost post clips like every day, and I also regularly upload on TikTok. So if you want, you can go check it out. It's always the same name, slayxqueenx. So yeah, thank you so much.
Cool. And to you, dear listener, dear viewer, dear however else you might be experiencing this, I want to thank you for listening, for watching, for being here, for supporting me, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, morning, noon, evening, night, whatever it may be for you. Thank you for watching, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.
Bye.